Hello and welcome to Product Popcorn, the podcast that explores topics related to product management. Most of the time. We talk with product managers and also designers and engineers that work on product teams, and only sometimes discuss a possibility of artificial intelligence taking over the world. You can always read more at productpopcorn.com. Hey everybody, and welcome to Product Popcorn. I'm Kimberly, your host, and today I'm without a co-host. Adam's not here, but I do have Ryan McCarthy.
Hey!
He's a UI designer who's worked designing TV apps for several years now. And we used to work at Spectrum Guide together, We worked on Spectrum Guide TV app. And now Ryan works at Starz. So we're going to review TV apps today.
Yay! Everybody's favorite subject.
Everybody's favorite subject. Well, everybody watches TV.
I hope so.
Yeah, so...
Especially Starz. Keeps paying my bills.
Everybody watches Starz. I watch it every day just to keep you in business.
What do you watch on Starz?
Crap. I was hoping you wouldn't ask me. Shit.
You could say Outlander.
Outlander.
You can say American Gods.
Yes.
You can say Power. Power is like the #1 program.
What's that about?
I don't know. I don't watch it.
Now I don't feel bad if you don't watch it.
I don't. But it's great. And 50 Cent is our key producer, executive producer on that. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I actually will probably check it out now.
You should. There's some drama going on. It's great.
I like it. TV is one of those industries that has changed a lot over the last 10 years. So for product managers, it's a really interesting use case because until about 10 years ago, cable companies had absolutely zero competition. So if you wanted to watch TV, you had to have a cable subscription and you had to put up with everything that came with that cable subscription, like pretty bad customer service. Cable companies could kind of charge whatever they wanted.
Or an antenna. Do you remember antennas?
Oh, yeah. That's what I had when I was young.
I know, me too.
Because we didn't have cable.
We couldn't afford cable.
Yeah, both of those.
I couldn't afford cable at all, so I just watched Channel 2
Yep.
here in Denver, Channel 4,
Yeah.
and then 6 was PBS.
Yeah.
So I was always on that. And then 7 and 9, and then Fox came out, and I was like, wow, that's new.
Fox, well, remember when you got CW, though, sometimes?
Yeah, just every
That
now
was
and
like
then.
a treat.
That was insane.
It was like crazy.
So anyway, yeah.
But now, we have so many options as consumers. And it's a really good product case study of like what happens and how do you pivot when the industry is really seriously disrupted. So we're going to talk about that today. But first, Ryan, I'm sorry, I have to ask you some embarrassing intro questions.
Awesome.
You've listened, you know
I've listened.
About.
Yeah, I listened to the podcast.
All right. The first one is, Ryan, you have 2 children.
I do.
Which one's your favorite?
No.
Good answer.
Yeah.
The last time I asked this, the guest answered.
They did? What?
You can't say when you don't have a favorite child.
No, they're both awesome. They're both great little boys.
Yes, there you go. Perfect.
That's it.
Now when they listen to this in 8 years or 10 years or whenever they can talk, how long does it take kids to talk?
It's like 10 months.
Oh,
like
shit.
my little boy's saying mama.
Oh,
So.
all right. Well, in 10 months when they're listening to this.
3 more weeks.
Okay, very important question, number 2. So this morning at work, I showed up and breakfast was delivered into the office. There was
you're
coffee.
fancy.
I know. There was coffee cake, and there was carrot cake muffins with chocolate chips. I could only choose one.
Did you choose the coffee cake?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you don't want to have vegetables.
Yes!
At all. So
You know me so well. Okay, great. And which Tesla model is your spirit animal?
what's the one?
There's 3. So which
Yeah.
one are you talking about?
No, what's the one that looks kind of big? It's bigger.
With the wing doors?
Yeah.
The X.
That's the one.
That's my spirit animal too.
And I think it would be better if they redid Back to the Future with the Tesla.
Yeah.
And used just that. With
I
Marty
agree.
McFly coming out.
Oh, that would be good.
That'd be my spirit animal.
Oh, I want it in black interior.
Yeah.
Anyway, different
There's
story.
a product case in there, by the way.
Oh, wait.
This kid in California
Okay.
got a Tesla from his father. He said, "Dad, will you sign the lease?" He did. He signed the lease. And the kid made a business out of it. He hired 2 drivers to go from L.A. to Vegas.
What? Right?
and back, and because it's free
brilliant.
to charge,
Yes.
he's making $40,000 a month now.
No.
Yeah.
And everybody in LA is always trying to get a good way to drive to Vegas.
And he only charges them like $30-$40 each way, and
That's
it's
brilliant.
insane. I was like, oh, I want to do that here. Come to the
yeah,
mountains
but we
and
don't.
back.
Yeah, the mountains and back. We don't drive to Vegas. That's too
Exactly.
far. You wouldn't make any money.
I wouldn't make any money, but I had to own a Tesla, so
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's so. We also do this bit, and we're going to do it real quick, called Acronomicon. Today, I thought I'd make it relevant to television, so it's OTT.
over the top.
Over the top. So those are like streaming apps, guys. Product managers that may or may not work in television.
Over the
OTT,
top apps.
over the top. They changed our lives for all TV watchers.
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, good for me. That's what I do for a living.
It's
so.
true. It is true. It's what I didn't used to do that for a living because I worked for the cable company. So
Right.
did you.
So,
But
well.
they were our competition.
We influenced that side of the house a lot.
But I mean, because these over-the-top providers or products have started coming on the market, it has really forced cable companies to pivot and really step up their game product-wise.
It's kind of like when MP3s came out. And everybody was like sharing tapes and like making CDs for your girlfriend.
Yeah.
But instead you would just make like a playlist and then send that over. It's exactly like that. Like this is disrupting the entire cable industry, which is good for the consumer, I think, which is good for us.
Yeah. Do you think that cable companies even had product managers before, or UI designers for that matter?
No,
before
no.
OTT? I don't think so either.
If you guys have had a cable box in the last 10 years, you've probably seen the blue and
so
green and the up and down, left, right. And then once Xfinity kind of came out with their X1 platform, that's
super fangirl.
you like the X1?
I love X1. I do. I think it's a fantastic product.
I think it's great. Everything works. I still, to this day, I go back to what X1 does. I said, what did Comcast do? Just do that.
We did that in Spectrum, remember?
All the time.
I'd be like, but X1 does this. They're like, it's not. You do not work for Comcast. I'm like, fine.
Well, we should. It's way easier. Just do it that way.
Oh, yeah. Their product is fantastic, and we'll talk about it. So I figured we would break this up. There's kind of 3 different categories of TV apps. So we have OTT, over the tops, or streaming. We have cable, which are mainly just X1 and Spectrum.
Well, there's Dish now.
Well, that's satellite.
Well, sure.
I guess kind of same class.
Thing. And then Sling.
And yeah, but Sling is a little different than satellite, right? That's actually like an app that you can put on your device. I don't think you actually need a satellite to get Sling TV.
Right.
Yeah.
But those, when you talk about cable, it's more like who owns the content, right? And who's streaming the content.
Right.
So with cable providers, it's like I can watch live NFL games.
Yeah.
With Dish, I can watch live NFL, but also with the NFL app, I can watch NFL. So,
yeah. No, you're right. And sports is definitely like super important use
it's
case
absolutely
too.
important.
And then we have like these network specific apps like Starz and HBO Now, and even like the main networks are coming up with those now. Like NBC and ABC have their own apps where you can stream live content.
I can like go on my phone and give you AMC, Viceland, Comedy Central, FX Now, Cinemax, Showtime, Science Channel, Animal Planet, CW. This is what I do every day. Is just look at all these. A&W, Fox Now, ABC, DIY, fantastic content on there. Horrible app, fantastic content. HGTV, history. I mean, you just name it. Everybody has an app now because
that's the thing.
That's what people want.
Because all of this content is on these individual network apps. Like, what's the end game? Like, what is Starz goal, I guess, product goal, like with their app? Do you have to have a cable subscription to log in?
Not with Starz.
Okay.
We have an OTT product over the top, Acronomicon. Yes. Adam's not here, so I have to do my best. Sorry. You can go on Starz and you can purchase a subscription, quote unquote, for $8.99 a month.
Oh, okay. Like HBO Now.
HBO Now, yeah. I use HBO Go just because I have Xfinity at home.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, they're broken up.
I do the same thing. I have HBO Go because I have a cable subscription. So for those of you who don't know this, like HBO and probably all other network providers have different classes of apps. If you do not have a cable subscription, you log into HBO Now, which is like just behind the scenes a different technology than HBO Go, which you log in with your cable subscription. And it's actually way better. So let's talk about the products. I have in my notes the big, the bad, and the beautiful. Some of them are beautiful. Some of them are not.
Some of them are the same app.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
So I have first on the list is traditional cable. And I've already kind of touched on some of like the issues with that. But cable's really, they're trying to step up their game. This includes satellite companies too. They know they have to compete or people are just going to cut the cord like lots of millennials are doing. So, looking at...
Content is king.
Yes.
So
yeah,
I will get HBO forever now because Game of Thrones is one of the best shows that has ever been put on television.
The best, Ryan.
One of the best shows that I've ever seen.
The absolute best.
Also, like John Oliver, like that dude's like hilarious. Now, those are great. That's great content.
Yep.
If you look at like Comedy Central, what are you getting out of that app? Would you pay $5.99 for that?
Personally, I would not.
Right.
But I don't know what people watch. For me, it's like Starz. What was it? Mad Men on which network?
AMC.
AMC and HBO are kind of like my go-to networks. And outside of that, not much. But anyway,
content is king.
Yeah, I totally agree. So looking at X1 versus Spectrum, which we know, and just to be clear and total disclaimer, we don't know what's happened with Spectrum TV apps since we left a year and a half-ish ago. So things could have changed. But looking at X1 versus Spectrum, the things that kind of speak out to me with X1 is like search is excellent. Do you remember what they call that kind of search? I was trying to look for the name of it, where you just hit the button and that coordinates with that letter, and then it actually predicts. You don't have to like hit it 3 times like you used to. It might be
predictive search.
I think it's
okay.
There is a name. There's a specific name that they have in the cable industry for it, but I don't remember what it is. But the predictive search with X1 is fantastic, and Spectrum was always trying to get that right, and they couldn't.
I think it was a different idea because our product manager at the time wanted to be different and be differentiated, and he kind of made X1 almost the enemy of Spectrum, and we even said like you can look at these two things and some things are good, like they're great user experiences, they're great things that let's just piggyback off each other and do that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Right?
Yeah, totally agree. No harm in copying that feature at all.
X1 makes it so simple to get to where you want to go.
Yes.
There's nothing kind of in the way. Everything is very transparent. Everything's very right at your fingertips. Mm-hmm. And even the keystrokes to get to where you're at, which is on the D-pad, which is not Necronomicon, but it's up, down, left, right, select. And I'm doing it in the air, so you guys can't see that. But on X1, it's so easy. There's lists. There's not go to this screen and then a modal pops up and then another modal pops up and another modal pops up. It was very streamlined.
X1 it has a seamless user experience. If you've ever a 5-year-old or an 85-year-old could pick up a remote, turn on X1, and they could probably, with minimal issues, navigate through that UI and know exactly what to do next.
My 5-year-old, 4.5, he's 4.5 now. Mm-hmm. He'll be 5 in November, but he picks up the remote, clicks the button, and says, Daniel Tiger. And sometimes it's like, I don't understand. And he's like, Daniel Tiger. And it literally shows Daniel Tiger. He clicks it twice, and he's watching Daniel Tiger.
That's amazing.
I don't have to do anything.
That's great.
Parenting win.
Yeah, there you go. And one of the interesting product decisions I think that Spectrum made, which is a definite intentional product strategy that I personally disagreed with. No disrespect to anybody at Charter or Spectrum. But just that I personally didn't agree with was that what Spectrum did completely differently from X1 was that they allowed users or customers to keep their existing hardware, meaning you did not have to switch out your cable box to get the new Spectrum TV. And this was supposed to be a good thing, right? Like, people get the new shiny experience and they don't have to do anything to switch out that hardware. Whereas with X1, you have to make a specific action to go out and get the new X1 box to get the new X1 experience. And they saw that as a barrier. As a product manager, I completely disagree. For me,
I agree with what you're saying.
You want your super users, you want your early adopters to take that specific action to go get the new box because they want it.
Yeah.
And then you grow from there. Whereas what Spectrum was doing was forcing, grandma, 80 years old in Reno, Nevada, hey, one day you turn on your TV and guess what? You have a totally new UI. You were not expecting. You don't know how to navigate. You're 85 years old. All you want to do is watch Oprah or whatever 85-year-olds do, and you don't know how to get there.
It wasn't good. I mean, it had less processing power than a radio alarm clock. So
also so many hardware restrictions.
Oh, so bad.
So it was a huge limitation as far, definitely like for you as a designer and for me as a product person. If we wanted to implement a certain feature, well, we were very limited by the hardware of these old. I mean, some of these cable boxes were 20 years old. I've had to talk about, or I had to talk about, the technology a lot about how we would take that JavaScript front end and transcode it into what was it, MP2 I think format, MP4 format, right. Which is what those old cable boxes can read. And that it's a fascinating technology. Like, it's fascinating that we can do that.
Yeah,
however, it's kind of like building a car with like a wet bar. Like, it's cool, but like it's not very useful.
Well,
I still can't drink margaritas in the car. Like,
you could, just don't.
Bad idea.
Yeah, don't do that. Obviously, it was a great idea. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and they were saving. They did save money. They saved billions of dollars by not making new hardware. But to your point, I think they would have thrived a little bit more, and they may still be. Who knows? But they would have thrived a little bit more if they put this stuff on new hardware. Yeah,
I totally agree. So, anyway, X1.
Go X1.
X1 fanboy and X1 fangirl right here. But let's move on. I think
go X1.
We've got enough cable in here. So let's talk about OTT next.
Yeah.
So I have Netflix and Hulu. You said Amazon isn't. I'm curious. You said like Amazon doesn't really matter. Why do you think that?
Amazon's it's number 3. Okay.
Okay.
Like, everybody's like, Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, if it's not on Netflix, then it's probably on Hulu. If it's not on Hulu, where can I get this? And
right.
It's all about the content, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing about Amazon is most of the time Amazon and Hulu have the same content on there.
Interesting. I have noticed that with certain shows. Anyway.
Yeah. So you'll see like Amazon is really just there as a buffer almost. Like it's just kind of the other thing. The cool part is they're starting to come out with better things. So
their original content.
Yeah, the Tick is like.
Well, they won an Emmy for Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
They won an Emmy, that was an Academy Award, and then they won a Emmy for Transparent. I believe, right?
Exactly.
So their original content is really good.
So their original content is starting to get up there. So that's a cool thing. Like you again, content is king, man.
And that's exclusive, right? You cannot get Amazon content anywhere else.
Right. For now. We'll see.
Now, yeah.
We'll see when Netflix starts to go in the hole some more.
I feel like Netflix is just hemorrhaging money.
They're $50 billion in debt right now.
That's insane.
From what I read.
Do you know how much they paid Dave Chappelle for those 3 specials?
I don't even want to know. How much is what?
It was $20 million, I think.
Are you serious?
For 3 1-hour specials.
I mean...
He literally, like Dave Chappelle, I watched an interview, he literally said he did it only for the money.
It was funny.
It was great.
I don't know if it was $20 million funny. But
yeah, $20 million. Let's like give him $3 million.
Yeah,
$1 million an hour. That seems fair.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Netflix is awesome, and it's a different animal too because it's in 56% of houses right now.
Really?
It's the market share. Like you can't go wrong with that. But if you watch the Emmys, they didn't win anything. With Netflix, you really have to understand that like they're there for you. Like that's all they do is they test, and they test, and
very
they test.
Very user focused.
Kevin Spacey didn't even read for the part in
House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Really?
He didn't even read for it because they knew what program they wanted, who they wanted to be the lead in and how many seasons they were going to run before they even started that show.
Oh, wow.
That's how much data they have. Like, they are insane.
Well,
awesome.
for me, and because I manage a data product right now, Netflix, to me, I always look at it as a data company.
It is.
I mean, Netflix A/B tests everything.
Literally.
Like, they're notorious for A/B testing everything.
Posters, like the swim lanes that you get, like
I
everything.
swear there was a week where I didn't have a search box in my Netflix, and I was like, I'm an
Probably.
A/B test. Like, because
Probably.
I'm a product manager, I like picked that out. I was like, they are A/B testing something, and I don't like it, so I'm just logging out. I'm frustrated. Netflix also, they do personalization probably better than any other provider, network, cable, OTT, and they've done that. That was like their beginning was personalized algorithms, right, to get those very specific kind of subcategories of content. And
the funny thing about that is everybody's trying to copy them.
And nobody's succeeding.
Nobody is.
Nobody is even coming close.
Hulu's getting there. But
yeah.
Netflix right now, their personalization is so good.
Yeah.
And which leads everybody else to be like, I think we need personalization. And I struggle this daily where I'm like, do we really need that?
Yeah.
On HBO Go or HBO Now, do you really need to be
You
personalized?
don't.
There's 80 things on there.
Yeah, I was going to say that when the content is so limited, you kind of know when you go into an app like Starz or like HBO, you're either going to watch Outlander or you're going to watch Game of Thrones. Like, you know exactly what you're looking for. So it's kind of a different use case.
That's what I'm saying. So,
But
like,
remember at Spectrum, that was another thing we tried to work on was personalization. And it's a little bit different. Well, I don't know anymore since people are like more and more watching Netflix on like Apple TV or through whatever device, you know, through their Roku or whatever. But with Spectrum, it was kind of like the cable viewing experience is typically a family viewing experience. So how do you personalize? And really, you know, if I were to do it now, knowing what I know about data products, I would take my profile and I would take my husband's profile and I would combine them, right? To like like a Venn diagram, like where's the overlap?
when would you ever do that, though? Like, when is your husband like, oh, I need to watch what I'm going to watch? And you're like, I'm going to watch what I'm going to watch. Like, that never happens.
Yeah,
it never happens.
It only ever happens on like the rare Saturday night where we don't have plans and we're like, let's watch a movie. And then we have to look through
everything.
50,000 different movies that are available on X1.
I'm lucky because my wife binges shows. And most of the time they're just
Awful.
Yeah. Like, we watched the entire Gilmore Girls. And, like, I got into it.
I watched that.
It was so good. Anyway.
Neither Ryan or I watched that.
No.
We didn't
ever.
watch that.
Oh, my gosh.
Netflix really is, like, unique in that. Like, Amazon doesn't really do that. Hulu doesn't do it. None of the cable providers do it.
So Hulu just came out with their profiles, right?
Oh, I see. I canceled my Hulu subscription when The Handmaid's Tale ended.
Okay, first of all, that content was amazing, right?
Well, won
So
the
good.
Emmy for Best Drama.
So good.
So good. I love I love Elizabeth Moss.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So Hulu just came out with their profiles. They have like user 1, user 2, whatever, right? Uh-huh. And it's fantastic.
That's great.
Only because now you can share with 5 other people. That's literally it.
That's great.
That's it. Though.
And that's literally that is a use case where they copied Netflix.
Like
exactly
verbatim.
Yeah.
They were like copy paste. It was nothing short of that.
Yeah. You know, the other interesting thing about Netflix is like now they're hemorrhaging money and they're, you know, $50 billion in debt for all this original content, which a lot of it is amazing. Black Mirror, Stranger Things. But anyway, in the beginning when all they had was kind of crappy content, they still made it work, you know, because they personalized.
DVDs.
Yeah. And even after when they went into streaming.
So as soon as they went into streaming, it was like a different game.
I've subscribed to Netflix for probably 8 years.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like it's only been in the last 3 to 4 years that they've had good original content.
Yeah. I mean, that's any OTT provider right now. It's like, how can you pay me money?
Right.
And it's all about original content.
Yep.
If it's original movies, original whatever, they're all going to have their niche.
Yep.
Netflix is great because they have many niches or niches. How do you say that?
I would say niche.
Where's
but
Jamie
if we're
Love at this point?
Jamie Love.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you?
Where are you? Is it niche?
We need an English major.
We'll call them. They'll have those specific niches. And those are the people who are going to buy your product. Like,
Yeah.
marketing 101, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So, I mean, that means like for the first 4 years that I had Netflix, all they had was crappy content and I still bought a subscription.
Well, they probably had good movies.
Yeah, well, some. They didn't have any of the movies that you would never go to Netflix and like search for a specific like blockbuster movie, you know, like, you know, I'm trying to think of a blockbuster movie. I can't think
Transformers.
Transformers. You know, you're not going to Netflix looking for Transformers, but anyway.
Gossip Girl. That's on Netflix.
You know, the other thing that OTT providers do really well that Spectrum was still trying to figure out when we were there was downloadable content.
Oh my
and that is a game changer. Like, now that I can download things from Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon, all three, it's like sometimes when I go on a trip and I have a long flight, I don't even look at my X1 app to download.
Do you watch your stuff on iPad or your computer?
Do. I watch it on my iPad mostly.
So Starz, the number one device is an iPad.
Really?
iOS,
okay.
iOS, iPad.
I'm in the majority.
Yeah. And then the second device is the phone for some reason.
I see people all the time on planes and buses watching stuff on their phone. That is bizarre to me. It's so
tiny. Yeah, it's too tiny.
Yeah. You can't watch. You cannot have a legit Game of Thrones experience on a mobile.
Dude, preach.
Come
for
on.
real.
Come on, people. You need to see that zombie dragon big.
That's what I'm saying.
Spoiler.
Oh, yeah,
zombie dragon.
Spoiler alert.
Anyway, we'll move on to networks. So the biggest question I have about like the network apps like HBO Now and Starz is like what is their end game? Like what does a cable subscription look like 10 years from now when I guess we're already there? Like every single network has their own app. You know, is their goal for customers to buy these apps piecemeal, or do we see the cable subscription as being something that has some longevity, like a decade from now?
So the cable industry is probably not going anywhere for a while.
I have that feeling too.
Only because it carries the internet with it. Here's what cable industries have not, or these OTT platforms have not found out yet, is like once Walking Dead's over, how do you keep me on that app? Because I'll just cancel it. I'll just cancel it all day long.
That's what I do with Hulu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You watch The Handmaid's Tale, and then boom, I'm done.
Right.
So that's the big bridge right now they're trying to gap. Is like, how do I get people to keep paying us money? And honestly, it's content. Like,
yeah. It totally is, and they have to time it.
Right.
This is like a product thing too, is like timing the content correctly so that there's always something new.
Which is tough because of production delays. And like this goes all the way back to Hollywood of like, when are they going to get their stuff out so that we can put it into our queue so that the next thing is going to happen. Every month we're like, when is Ash vs. Evil Dead season 3 coming out?
I ask that question every morning.
Duh.
I'm like, where is it?
Come on. Guys, when is Girlfriend Experience season 2 coming out?
Oh, I did watch that.
Oh.
It was great.
Was it?
I was weird. It's real weird.
I heard it was like a softcore porn.
It's not for children.
Yeah, not
for sure, not for children. You know, she's putting herself through law school. Give her a break, Ryan. It's literally the storyline.
Oh.
So do you think that any service is going to come out that's going to aggregate like all these apps? Because I think that's what's really missing from the market, right? Is like, yeah, there's Apple TV, but you still have to navigate between the apps. Like really what I want, like if I could pick, like my ultimate product dream would be X1, of course, at its core, with like all my Netflix and Amazon and Hulu original content integrated into that platform.
So Hulu right now has premium add-ons.
Okay.
And what you can do is pay for like Hulu, and then on top of that, you pay for $14.99 for HBO.
Oh.
And you pay like $9.99 for Showtime. Mm-hmm. So Hulu's kind of trying to do it.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, like how much are you spending on internet, plus your phone bill.
That's what.
Plus, $9.99 here, and then $10.99 there.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, you're like, oh, I'm paying $300 when I could just get cable, and that's $115. Starz right now is trying to do some of that as well. Like Lionsgate even said on their investor phone call, like we're going to try to make an app that can bring all of our properties into one area.
Okay.
Which would be great. Mm-hmm. But
there hasn't been a successful aggregator though to this point. But do you think that like Hulu, Netflix, or Amazon would ever sell their original content to Xfinity or Spectrum?
Oh yeah.
You think they would?
On X1 right now, you can go to Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
What? You just blew my mind.
What?
Why have I been watching on my iPad? Oh my goodness.
Don't do that.
Okay.
On X1 on your TV. So on X1 on
TV
the box.
only.
Right.
So you said you love Apple TV. That's actually like the last question I have on my list is like, is Apple TV going to be a big player? Because I know this was like a dream of Steve Jobs. He wanted to revolutionize TV and just the whole experience. He did not like cable companies. He wanted to provide some competition. I watched the Apple product launch with the new Apple TV that came out.
4K.
And 4K, yeah. That's kind of the bullet point I had from that product release was it's 4K.
I was like, cool, 4K.
Yay, what else? So, how do you think Apple TV will be different in 5 years?
So the cool thing about Apple TV is they have the apps that anybody can make and put on their app store. And a lot of people are not taking advantage of that, which I think is going to be a gold rush pretty soon.
Right.
Mainly for like little entrepreneurs like me that want to put something out there in the world and have it downloaded and see what happens.
Yeah.
The crappy part about that is it's about content. So how do you make content that's awesome? And I'll tell you who's doing it phenomenal. And it every night I watch this. It's YouTube.
Yes.
So,
yeah, that is a very good point. Although competing company because Google owns YouTube.
Still though, if you go on Apple TV, the YouTube experience is just absolutely horrendous. They need to fix it, but the content that's there keeps me coming back night after night after night after night.
And you can't. So this is another question kind of related to this is like iTunes. Can you buy content? Like, can you buy a movie on Apple TV through iTunes?
Yeah, you can buy a movie.
Okay. So, that's I guess the alternative. This is the product manager and me looking at the pricing strategy. The alternative to these subscription models where you say, you pay $10 a month for this app, $10 a month for that, is that you just pay for what you watch. You pay for what you consume. And that's kind of the iTunes model, right? Is like, okay, I pay $2, I watch this movie or this episode. YouTube is kind of moving towards that pricing strategy too with some of the content that they have.
With YouTube Red.
You can buy episodes on YouTube. So do you see that being like a successful strategy? Like, would you buy content piecemeal?
I don't think so. You have to do a freemium model. You have to be free and then put in those little premium ads every now and then.
Yeah.
I love Apple TV. I love it. I think it's like one of the best things that's ever come out. I also own a Roku.
Okay.
I own 3 Rokus, and I own 2 Apple TVs. Right? Why not? I cannot go through the Roku in a way that makes sense to my head.
So why do you own 3 Rokus?
Testing.
Yeah. Oh, right. Of course.
Because I have to test all the apps on there. But Roku, the YouTube app on Roku, phenomenal. It's so much more interactive. I can do a ton more stuff. I can delete things and add things. It's just great. I cannot find, and please tweet at me like if you find this, but I can't find if Roku's doing better than Apple or if Apple's doing better than Roku.
I tried to look that up before here too, and I could not figure it out. Because supposedly, do you know that like Sling TV is supposed to be one of the most successful TV products on the market right now, and it's supposed to be wonderful because the thing with Sling is that you can watch live television and you can also watch all your on-demand content. But for me, like the live TV use case, I feel is going away. I feel like that's the older generation that is kind of really into this outside of sports. Why do you need live TV?
Like, I want to binge stuff. If Orange is the New Black was on week by week, I'd be like, no!
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what was so hard about Game of Thrones.
I think that's what makes Game of Thrones awesome, though.
It is. I agree. There's something about having to wait and, like, analyzing and watching the episode 3 times, and the third day something clicks.
Right.
And like, oh, wow.
And you talk about it at work, and you're like, oh my gosh, you guys realize that this just happened.
Or you don't talk about it at work.
Right, because like that one person didn't watch the show.
Okay, let me ask you this. This is a survey for all the listeners. What's an appropriate amount of days to wait for them to watch?
It's 2 days.
Okay, thank you.
It's 2 days, but then if they say, I haven't got to season 4 yet or whatever, you say, okay. Then you go and you talk with your friend in the break room.
Thank you. I had somebody say, "Oh no, I haven't started watching the series yet." I was like, "Get out of here!"
Yeah, like you don't get to be in this conversation.
You clearly, because this is my thing. It's like if you haven't made time to watch the episode,
Right.
it's not that important to you.
At all.
So, like, why am I trying? Like, why do you care?
Yeah.
You don't care enough to watch it, then why do you care if I'm going to spoil it for you? Also, you don't even know that dragons exist.
That's what I'm saying, right?
So, like how can it even spoil anything?
You have no idea what's going on.
You don't know who Khaleesi
You don't know who the White
is.
Walkers are.
You don't know who Jon Snow is. So, it
Go
can't
away.
spoil
Yeah, you
something
can't
that you don't
spoil
know about. Ah, glad we had that rant.
Yeah.
Felt really good.
All you non-Game of Thrones watchers.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
I've seen the first season.
Okay.
And was disgusted. Was
Yeah,
the
it's
best
pretty-
that I could hear.
But it gets better. We're going to actually, if you want to come back and do another podcast, we're going to review season 4. There's only 6 episodes,
Okay,
and
I'll go
Jodie
watch it.
Foster actually directs the first one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
I've looked at Netflix still hasn't released. I look every day when Black Mirror season 4. They haven't released when it's coming out yet, but it's rumored to be the end of October. I feel like that's a little soon being that they haven't announced it yet.
Yeah.
So
But
probably
maybe.
end of year. Yeah. Could be any time. We
Seriously.
don't know.
That was a great show.
It's a great show
That's
for
a
product
great
managers
show.
because it features all this new technology in a productized form. And it's
You're
like
totally right on that.
I really want to encourage product managers to watch Black Mirror, so that's why we're going to review all of them. Anyway, we've got to wrap this up. So, any last words?
Follow me on Twitter, Ryan McCarthy, and
We'll tweet you out
yeah,
too.
tweet me.
You can follow me on Twitter at Product Popcorn. I'll also leave some links and some other resources on the website at productpopcorn.com. And we'll be back next week with Adam, I think, hopefully, if his friend's not in town anymore.
Adam, we miss you.
We miss you, Adam.
I miss you.
All right, that's all for now. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Bye. Thanks for listening to Product Popcorn. You can subscribe to the podcast or leave a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. You can always read more at productpopcorn.com or follow us on Twitter at Product Popcorn.